All right, everybody. Good to have you tonight. We're going to try and start on time, although looks like I'm a minute late, but good to have you join us. And we're going to jump into this session tonight, building a solid financial future in the digital marketplace. And a lot going on in our world today. We find it more difficult to make a good return on our investments. With the recession going on and the stock market going up and down, it's hard to know where to put our funds. So we're going to try to answer some of that question for you tonight. And we are recording this, so it will be a replay in case you'd want somebody to know about it. We'll send out a link about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. And if you don't know who I am, let me say I'm Os Hillman, and I'm founder and president of Marketplace Leaders. And I owned an ad agency for 12 years back in the 80s and 90s, transitioned into Marketplace Leaders, which is a ministry to men and women in the marketplace. Let me just make sure I'm okay, everybody's hearing me. Feel free to put a note in the chat if you're trying to reach me. I'll check it on occasion as we're going through this session today. That's a place to put your questions or in your Q&A as well. But anyway, been in business for 40 years, owned my business and now a nonprofit, and really been equipping leaders in the marketplace for the last 25 to 30 years, and done that in 26 countries. Just finished my 24th book, and I write a daily devotional called TGIF. Today, God is First, that many of you get, and that's probably why you're on here. And that goes to 105 countries. So glad to have all of you with us tonight. And I hope that this session will be helpful to you. I have to read this disclaimer. I am not an investment advisor and do not take responsibility for any actions taken from what is presented in this presentation. Please consult your financial advisor before you invest. I'm going to give even more disclaimers later on. All right, Psalm 127:1 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays up awake in vain. In vain, you rise up early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he loves." You know, the scripture is very clear about not sweating and toiling, but working out of obedience. And Deuteronomy 18 has a great promise for us if we do it the right way. "And you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers as it is this day." I want you to notice what that verse says, and it doesn't say. It says it gives you the power to get wealth. Another translation says the ability to get wealth. He doesn't just put it in your lap. You actually have to participate. Years ago, I learned the difference between presumption and faith. You see, I thought that I could pay off my house anytime I wanted, and then all of a sudden, instead of paying off the house, I was using that money for other purposes and investing, and all of a sudden I got hit with a Bernie Madoff type of situation that took $500,000 from me. I should have paid off my house because I had the opportunity. There's no greater feeling than owning your own property. So I encourage you to do that if you're able to do it. In 1994, I went through a major crisis, and in 1998, I was on the island of Cyprus at a marketplace conference. A man came up to me and said, "The Lord had to remove your finances to reserve the reward he has for you in heaven." Well, I didn't know this man he was from England. He'd never met me. And yet the Lord was gracious to speak to me in my crisis. And so, sometimes we're going to go through financial crisis, but that doesn't mean we have to stay there. We must build on the right foundation, though, by the grace God has given me. I laid a foundation as an expert builder, and someone else is building on it. But each one should be careful how he builds, for no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. If any man builds on this foundation using gold, silver, costly stones, wood, hay, or straw, his work will be shown for what it is, because the day will bring it to light. 1 Corinthians 3:10 through 15. Goes on and says it will be revealed with fire, and the fire will test the quality of each man's work. If what he has built survives, he will receive his reward. If it is burned up, he will suffer loss. He himself will be saved, but only as one escaping through the flame. So we want to build a solid foundation, especially a financial foundation. We need to have a strategy for building a solid financial future that is dependent on considerations like your age and your income, your plans and goals for your future, your personal circumstances. And of course, it needs to be intentional. You've got to be intentional about this plan and implement it. Now, there are things that can derail your financial future, like divorce or a recession or a financial crisis like we've been in, or loss of work. You might get fired or have an illness or business failure, or maybe a bad investment. All of these things can affect us financially. But the truth is, God is still our source, and we can rebuild if we get knocked off our horse. So, to avoid being a victim to any of these, prepare like Joseph did. He prophetically saw the signs of the times and prepared. You are called to be a spiritual and a physical provider for others if you're a Joseph. So that's what happened to me. Now, your portfolio, where is your money? Well, you need to consider having some precious metals like gold and silver, maybe in a home safe, immediate cash on hand that's not in a bank. You need to plan for retirement with a IRA or a Roth tax-free document, or a short-term savings for things like paying off a car or short debts that you want to pay. And then you need to have 3 months of operating expenses for emergencies. We all get hit with things, might have to replace a furnace or something like that. And you need to have long-term savings for debt retirement like a home, and then cash in a deposit box in a bank or crypto exchanges. That's where you're going to have your risk capital and risk investments, because a risk investment means that it is risky, but it has a great upside if you hit it big. And so you want to have that after you meet these other primary criteria. And you never want to invest in just one place. So this is what it looks like, your pie, to allocate these areas in your financial life. And then you should also have food stored somewhere for times where we run into food shortages. We've seen that happen with COVID and other things, like the war in Ukraine is going to have an effect on us. As I say before, Ecclesiastes 11:2, we want to invest in multiple streams. So, the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Proverbs 27:9. That's financial wisdom, to be careful with how much debt you have, because it can play havoc with you. And don't co-sign for others. Whoever puts up security for a stranger will surely die, but whoever refuses to shake hands in a pledge is safe. Proverbs 11:15. So, again, let's look at Deuteronomy 8:17. He gives you the ability to create wealth. And that's what we want to do in this webinar, is to show you how to create wealth. So, the future of money, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Proverbs 13:22. I believe the digital markets are a key to the wealth transfer. Digital currency is transforming the world's banking system internationally, and smart wallets are being used from your cell phone. They will be the primary means of banking. There'll be a growing acceptance of crypto as a currency. And today, we're going to introduce an investment program that limits your risk and does not require a great deal of knowledge about crypto trading. So there was a recent announcement that Colorado became the first state to accept Bitcoin as payment for taxes. And so we're seeing that come full circle in terms of crypto being used as currency. But it's still the wild, wild west, and you have to be very careful about what you do. You see, Bitcoin was $68,000 a year ago, and it's down to $20,000. I was invested in a thing called Hyperverse. Started out great, but it ended up not being so good, and we're not sure if we'll recover our money or not because things changed. And then there was a company called COTPS that I invested in and several people invested in, and then all of a sudden the crash happened and they were no longer there. They were a scam. MetaFi yielders, same situation. Many people got in that and lost their money. Ambrit Capital was another one that looked good, but it was a scam. I was put money in it. I was able to get all my money out of it. I didn't make any money, but I had learned to look at these telltale signs. But we're going to talk about a company today called Novatech, which is a great company. So let's look at what has changed with Bitcoin. You see, Bitcoin had nothing to do with the standard business cycle by which all other financial assets lived and died. But over the last 2 years, that's all changed. Today, Bitcoin strongly correlates to the NASDAQ. So if the NASDAQ goes up, Bitcoin goes up, and vice versa. Institutions view Bitcoin as a high-risk trading asset today, and Bitcoin was, as I say, $68,000 last November, but today it's around $19,000. And there are speculative companies, as I say, have gone bankrupt in the last 12 months because many of them were scams. The U.S. is 10 years behind China in smart wallet technology adoption. By 2025, more people will open a bank account on a phone than going into a bank. When the Fed stops raising rates and institutions finally understand the Bitcoin and stop trading it like a tech stock, I believe that tsunami of cash will ultimately send Bitcoin to $500,000 or more. This is a crypto trader and person that's been in the crypto world for a number of years. Michael Saylor, who's one of the leaders in crypto, also has made other similar claims. So let's take a look at a video that is a 5-minute clip from a blockchain international conference in Abu Dhabi that gives us some inkling about what's coming.
The next technology we're going to be using for this is smart glasses. This is Facebook's Project Aria. We're going to see in 2022 both Facebook and Apple announcing smart glass technology. And so think about the sort of world where you'll be using a computer with a head-up display with built-in capabilities like a wallet. They have cameras and LiDAR detectors that can recognize objects in the real world around you, faces of people that you see and so forth. You could ask your smart glasses, hey, do you know where my car keys are, where I left my car keys? And your smart glasses using image recognition will be able to tell you left them on the coffee table. When you're out in the real world and you go to your coffee shop for your favorite coffee, it'll negotiate with the coffee shop to give you your favorite coffee. It'll take your online preferences into the offline world, again, bridging physical and digital worlds. But you're not going to take your glasses off and tap them on a point of sale. So mobile wallets are going to be formless in respect to the types of payments we're going to transact. In this world, the types of bank products that were available in the 20th century just don't make any sense. It has to be real time, contextual. So when you walk into a Tesla dealership, your glasses might tell you, dude, you can't afford a Tesla. Here are some cheaper options for you. Or it'll give you access to a line of credit as you walk into the dealership, contextualizing your financial services experience. This is the intelligence part of the smart wallets that we're going to see. And it'll be based in the cloud, not based in a piece of hardware, and you can use it in the online world and the offline world. And so this ecosystem that is emerging is really made up of three sets of players. The tech giants that own the technology infrastructure will be using day to day for access to these banking and financial services experiences. The banks that survive this and become part of this ecosystem by having new tech stacks and digitizing APIs, changing their culture. And of course the fintechs, the crypto players, the challenger banks, companies like TransferWise, now called Wise, NYDIG, these players that are working on the specialist technology to power this future ecosystem. By 2025, and that's just 4 years away, more people will get their first bank account on a phone than they will from a bank. In fact, based on the wallet stats you've seen today, we can already say that. But this means that when we talk about a bank account, when our Gen Zs and our alphas, our kids talk about a bank account, they're not talking about an artifact they got from a bank. They're talking about a digital artifact that sits in the cloud that helps them manage their money. This is the first change in the definition of a bank account since the 14th century in the days of the Medici Bank. This is a huge shift. And underpinning this is the way money is evolving. So the most successful central bank digital currency program in the world today also comes out of China. This has been obviously spurred on by the success of cryptocurrencies. Why did China ban the Bitcoin mining in the Chinese market? Well, part of it is Bitcoin was a competitor to their CBDC. The other part of it was it had energy implications for their market. But already in a dozen cities around China and in 8 cities outside of China, CBDCs are being trialed. In Hong Kong, they just announced real-time payments infrastructure in Hong Kong will incorporate the CBDC. Alipay and Tencent WeChat Pay, they support the Chinese central bank digital currency. When they wanted to pay stimulus payments to Chinese people affected by the pandemic, they used mobile wallets and CBDCs in places like Macau. And if you're visiting the Beijing Olympics next year, you're going to be using a Chinese mobile wallet with China's CBDC. This is the first real-world implementation of a government-led cryptocurrency to compete with the decentralized world of crypto. The real issue here is the United States, who pertains to be the most sophisticated and most advanced banking system in the world. When it comes to mobile wallets, when it comes to CBDC, they're 10 years behind China right now.
So let's talk about a great quote by Albert Einstein. Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. You know, I'm just amazed at how compound interest works. So let's walk through a scenario. Let's say you put $500 in a platform that can pay you 3% weekly. And let's say you're going to do that for a year, and then you're going to compound that weekly. If you did that for 1 year, you would have $2,300 from that $500 because of that compound interest. Now, if you had $500 and had that in there 5 years, you didn't touch it, you just reinvested over 5 years at 3% weekly, you would have $1,088.48 in your account. Wow, isn't that amazing? Well, the question is, but where can I find a company that pays 3% a week? That's the key question, isn't it? So I'm going to tell you. So the digital currency platform Pamela and I are personally investing is Novatech. It's a Forex and crypto trading platform, Forex meaning foreign exchange. And they trade with ultra low commissions and PIP spreads, or they sign up for a fully automated PAM account, which is a way of paying you interest on your investment weekly. And they're now in their 4th year of operation. They've never missed a payout. And as I say, they are a Forex and crypto trading platform that pays an average of 2 to 4%. Their average over 3 years has been 2.9%. So let's look at the details on Novatech. Well, they feature, as I said, a PAM account, which stands for Percent Allocation Management Module. That's a software application used for foreign exchanges to pay out ROI. And they do that on a weekly basis. They average 2 to 4% per week gains over the last 3 years. Their actual over 3 years was 2.9%, and they never missed a payout. They pay out every Friday. So every Friday, you have an opportunity to go on the website and reinvest that money or take that money out to your exchange. And then every Saturday, they pay out their affiliate commissions and profit sharing. And we'll introduce auto reinvest sometime in October so that you don't actually have to go on the site to reinvest. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that Saturday income. They've had no losing weeks thus far. They've never failed to pay on time. The trading profits are paid out each Friday, then performance bonuses on Saturday. They reinvest to compound or withdraw. It's your choice. The funds are not locked up, but withdrawing trading capital within the first 90 days incurs a 15% fee, but not if you withdraw your return on investment. After 90 days, there's no fees for withdrawing, and it usually comes out in 24 hours if it's your ROI. It takes about a week to 10 days if you're pulling your trading capital out. The owners are highly visible, which is not true in scams. You do have a $25 a month management fee until you reach $25,000 in your account, and then that is waived. So they're fully transparent on the site. The company has their own brokerage company, their long-term sustainable affiliate pay plan for those interested in sharing. There are 9 different levels of compensation. There's no requirement to share to earn. So if you just wanted to be a single investor, never share this with anyone, that's fine. That's why it's not a multi-level marketing program, but it has the features of that. They're totally passive profits. They do the work, you get the return on the investment. When you put your money in your exchange account, if that's a new term for you, an exchange account is like a brokerage house for stocks. They call them exchanges in the crypto world. So when you put your money in there, you're going to either exchange it for LTC, or which is Litecoin, or Bitcoin, or USDT, to bring it into Novatech. And after you open that account, you will then open an account in Novatech. Now, they trade only 20 to 30% of their total assets any one time, which makes them very unusual. And they've never missed a weekly payout, and they're now in their 4th year. And you can get into this program as little as $100. We do recommend that you get to $500 as quickly as you can, just to avoid the $25 a month fee, so you don't get eaten up totally by that. And you must be sponsored into the program, either myself or someone you know that told you about this presentation. Go to them, ask them to help you. Now, the 2020 average monthly return has been between 11 and 17%. You can see these returns by month, and starting at 11.56 with a high of 17% and an average around 15%. So Their 3-year average return, as I mentioned, is 2.9% a week, and they'd never missed a payout. Here's a summary of the entire returns over their lifetime since they began in 2019. 37 consecutive months of documented profits and 550% total returns over that period. And it's important for you to note that you have 48 hours to fund your account after you open a Novatech account. So it's important that you start by opening your exchange account, funding that via a wire transfer if you expect to get access immediately. If you were to put a ACH or debit deposit in your exchange, you're going to have to wait sometimes 10 or more days for that. So there are 7 ways to get paid. Actually, there are a couple more than that, but the primary ones are through direct referral bonuses, indirect referral bonuses, fast track bonuses, check matching weekly bonuses, residual bonuses, and rank achievements up to $100,000 and rank-based profit sharing. I'm not going to go into those today, but we help anyone in Novatech understand how you can access those. So they have good support. We have a WhatsApp group that is largely a Christian community, and you can ask questions in that WhatsApp and get answers immediately. We also have a support page on 818 Kingdom Builders, and you can go there today and even watch this presentation there and a number of other presentations. And you can get the video tutorials in the back office, and they have email support. So let me summarize by saying that they reinvest. You get a return every Friday, and you have the option to reinvest that, or you can cash that out. And then on Saturday, those 7 bonuses I'm talking about, that's when they pay those out on Saturday. And then if you have an account that's over $25,000, you qualify for a bonus pool in their profit sharing that's paid out one time a month. And so you can see it can all add up. They are about to introduce a reinvest auto feature that is going to be this month. And so if you didn't want to go on there every Friday to reinvest, that's going to be an auto feature that will be incorporated this month. So let me just review my rules of crypto trading. It's the wild, wild west. And there's lots of volatility. Ask for wisdom if you should invest in this area. Make sure it's your risk capital, and never invest what you cannot afford to lose. Do your own due diligence. It's your decision. Start slow and build confidence in the platform. Test the system by making sure you can take funds out before putting in more money, and seek God for wisdom and confirmation. So if you follow that, you can have a good experience, because you don't know what you don't know about the future of crypto. So you must be careful with how much you invest. You know, they can be the most honest people in the world, and something can happen. The markets could change to a degree that, you know, they could not continue to do what they're doing, or perhaps the government puts some type of restrictions on them, or, you know, we just don't know, you know, so we don't know what we don't know. So take it easy, go slow, always try to recoup your principal. So you're playing with house money. If you want to be the safest way of approaching something like this, and that I'm approaching this now myself that way. So one other thing about investing in just your life, make sure you have a will or a trust. You know, Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And, you know, I had a neighbor a few years ago that was a good friend. He was a single attorney, divorcee, and he died. Well, found out he didn't have a will. and he had very little family. They had to go try to find next of kin, and it caused all sorts of problems. So don't let the government have your assets. Make it easy for your family. So how do you get started in Novatech? Well, first you've got to have a sponsor. And whether that's me or Pamela or someone who's told you about this webinar tonight, you need a sponsor. And then you need to open an exchange account. A coinzoom.com is what I tend to recommend. That's what I use. And then you'll need to wire transfer the money into the account. And then you want to open the Novatech account using your sponsor's link. And that is very important. But note that there's a 48-hour window from the time that you open your Novatech account to getting it funded. So you want to make sure that you open your exchange account, wire your money there, and then open the account. So you can visit 818kingdombuilders.com to book an appointment with myself, or you can just reach out to the person who told you about tonight's webinar. You can drop me a note at us@marketplaceleaders.org, or even text me at 404-964-2777. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Okay, so let me tell you about one other thing. I did a book several years ago called The Purposes of Money, Exposing the 5 Fallacies About Money and God's 5 Purposes for It. So if you've never read that book, you can pick that up in our bookstore at tgifbookstore.com. So we're going to take some questions now, and I'm going to circle back to that previous page, and we'll look at what's being said in the chat area and see if I can answer some questions. Here's one. I'm a Canadian. Will Novatech be allowed for me? Absolutely. The person who introduced me to this is named Lisa, and she's on the call tonight, and she is Canadian. And so, yes, it can. Can we do a partial invest each week? Absolutely, you can do that. You can put a little bit in every day or every week, as often as you want to. So, all right, 2 good questions there. All right, let me see what else we got in the Q&A area. All right, some of these are things related to my technology FOPO. Okay. All right. Can I wire money from my personal IRA through my bank account for funding the account? No, you have to open an exchange account that specializes in the cryptocurrency. Because what's going to happen is you're going to put that money in the exchange by wire transfer, and then you're going to exchange that for Litecoin, which is a coin, and then you're going to bring that into Novatech through the exchange. So we recommend coinzoom.com. If I buy and hold stocks or shares, I only file taxes at the time I sell. How does it work if I do not take earnings of this investment for a number of years? That would be I was just talking to a CPA the other day, and there seems to be some 2 different ideas on that, because Novatech is not required to report because they're dealing with people all over the world. So people are trading all over the world, and so they don't have to issue reports to people based on what they've earned. So you're going to have to really talk to your CPA on how they view that. But I talked to one person and said you would not pay taxes on that if it's reinvested, but I had another CPA say that you probably would. So I'm going to have to ask you to to contact your own CPA on that, and they will be better able to advise you, because I am certainly not a CPA. Okay, this looks like the first wave of questions has come through. You can ask further questions, and let's see, can we fund with any crypto wallet, or does it have to be CoinZoom? It can be any crypto exchange. There are thousands of them all over the world. Each nation tends to have some that work better for them. So if you're in America, you could do Coinbase or Kraken or CoinZoom, whatever, as long as they can accept cash or funds from a bank, and then they carry Litecoin to be able to, or Bitcoin, then you're able to use that exchange. Do you have a sponsor name when I sign up with Novatech? Yeah, Robert. So if you were to sign up through us, Marketplace Leaders, we would give you a sign up link to go to after we know that you funded your account. So as I say, you want that 48-hour window to make sure that you've got money in that account. And usually there's a small transaction fee from the exchange to transfer that money, but it's not much. $1,000 is probably $15 for them. So, all right. Looks like we got another question here. Why did you pick CoinZoom? Well, I picked CoinZoom because I picked Coinbase first. And I found that Coinbase was more difficult to navigate than CoinZoom. And it was, and they didn't hold money as long as CoinZoom. But it's a personal preference. Coinbase works just fine for many people, and CoinZoom has been my preference. All right. All right, the floor is open if there's any further questions. Okay, well, it looks like that's all we have tonight. If I can help you, just drop me a note at my email address here, or circle back with the person who told you about this. If you want to see the presentation, we're going to send out a note for replay, and I'll fix those issues so that it's a full presentation. Thank you for joining us tonight. And this is, Novatech's been a real blessing for Pamela and I. We've been in since June, and we have almost doubled our money in the program. Now, that doesn't guarantee that you will, because we were able to bring in some affiliates and so forth. So that will have an impact on you, but you can certainly get consistent returns between 2% and 4% a week. So I hope it's a blessing to you guys. And if I can be of help, let me know. It looks like I have one more question. Can I wire money from my personal IRA through my bank account for funding the account? Nope. Got to use an exchange for that. Okay. Thanks for being with me tonight. God bless. And thanks for being just a part of Marketplace Leaders and TGIF. We do appreciate you guys. Take care.